A lot of times, we see agents that are producing 300,000 in gross commissions, and we want to duplicate what they do. And I think a lot of times that kind of keeps you out of focus. You kind of pull yourself out of what you do best, and that can keep you out of track. So I always tell people, if you want to be productive, focus on what's working for you.
Danny is a 24-year real estate veteran and owner of Live Texas. He started in construction, moved to banking and finance, and then got his real estate license in 2005. He's also a real estate investor. So we're so glad to have you back. It was welcome back to our show, and we can't wait to hear about your goals.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me again. How's it going, Chris?
Going well. I know you got big goals. You've done a lot in your career. What are your goals for 2022 for your real estate business?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing we have going on right now, like you mentioned, we just started a brokerage firm last year. We've grown it to 29 agents. We're expanding to Dallas, possibly Austin in the next couple of days. Just trying to equip all my agents. A lot of stuff that you're tackling right here is just growing people. I've always been one of those persons that likes, working with people and depositing, what I know to them. So it's giving me an opportunity to be there, and I'm really, really enjoying it. Running the brokerage firm, a lot of challenges, but at the end, being this long in the industry, like we said, construction, banking, everything. There's a lot to be able to just give to these agents, and I'm really digging it. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's not fun, this can be a pretty stressful business. So you got to have fun doing it. Enjoy the process.
Exactly.
What do you do to keep yourself on track? Like when you're going through the year, it's easy to get stuck in the trenches and the day-to-day problems that you have. And then before you know it, it's October 28th, and you're already starting to make Thanksgiving and Christmas plans, and then figuring out, hey, where'd the year go?
Yeah, I mean, so bottom line is my motivation is my family. It's always the why you're doing it, and a lot of people get in this industry for the love of the money. Some people, because they have goals, they have ambitions, they have different goals they want to reach. In my case, it's a good living. I love what I do. I started doing it when I was in high school. Like you're mentioning, I was going around remodeling houses in Pasadena, the two bedroom houses to 3 bedrooms, just kind of seeing you're helping people, changing their lives and everything. So that's the big motivation for me in this industry. And I always tell agents, hey, set up some goals. Why are you doing this? Why do you get in the industry? And that kind of helps me keep on track and focused on why I'm doing this. A lot of times there's people who are in this industry just because it's popular and they think the money's easy,
Mm-hmm.
and then they look around, they wonder why they're not doing very well. They really don't have these whys, why you're doing it, and in my case, that keeps me focused 100%. I love what I do, every bit of it. And the motivation is really, really what's the factor that keeps me going.
That's actually the very first. So Jimmy and I have a book coming out in the next couple of weeks called Top Tips After 100 Flips. That's the first section. Why?
Okay. Yeah.
Because without that emotional, because money is never enough, because you can't do it. Money has no value. You can't eat it. It doesn't make nice decoration. It has no utility outside of what you can exchange it for, and what you're going to exchange it for. That's the emotional attachment.
Correct.
Which the number one thing you can exchange it for is time, because that is the one unrenewable resource. So I love that. In a leadership role, though, it's not just about you; it's about empowering the team.
Correct.
Which is always more challenging.
Correct.
Right? That's why it makes it's so difficult to grow a team because of that. Because if you're not an effective leader, being able to empower them and inspire them to achieve their goals and align those within the mission of the company, you're just not really going to go very far. So how do you do that? How do you get them to buy into actually set their goals and keep and make sure that they understand how to stay on track?
Well, one of the things, when I talk to agents, I've been doing this for a long time. So I tell them, I want to take you from point A to point Danny. And I want to basically tell you what I've done and what worked, what hasn't, what got me to where I'm at. So if I can kind of catapult you a little bit faster to where I'm at, that's basically the goal, in helping them grow their business. And you know, a lot of times, you know, we're going to have transactions that fall through, and be able to be there to support them and encourage them. And you know, it happens, you know, and at the same time, you get up and you move forward, you know, like John Maxwell says, you know, if you fall and hit the ground, you know, pick something up. It's rarely that you visit the floor, learn from it, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I just had 2 transactions that were going south, and I was able to salvage them. Had an agent, you know, run into a lot of obstacles on a transaction with a difficult listing agent, and got involved, took her to the closing table. And you know, that's basically the goal, is saying there's going to be a lot of challenges. You just don't give up. You stay focused, you know, and you know, make sure you're doing all the right things to get you there, and setting up goals, you know, different, you know, CRMs, you know, things to keep them on their production that we're utilizing. So that's what I'm kind of pouring down on them. Mostly the mentorship. I always tell agents when they start the industry, find a mentor, find somebody who's been there and done that, you know, because going back, there's going to be a lot of little gold nuggets everywhere. You and I see them. People saying, hey, here's this proven system. Not everything works, you know. There's stuff that works for me that might not work for this other agent.
Yeah.
So I tell them, find somebody who you can relate to, you know, and actually have that support. And as you go along, you're going to find where you fit in and what works for you.
Are there any leading KPIs that you're tracking that are going to help you stay on track? So, and we go back. I think you were on earlier when we talked about Moneyball. So the KPI for baseball, meaning getting on first base, not just hitting the bat, not just getting up to bat, but actually getting on first base. That was the leading KPI, because once you did that, everything else kind of falls in line. It's more of a statistical problem at that point. Do you have any leading KPIs that you're tracking?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, we're just on track. I mean, we utilize a lot of systems to track with people, and then our production levels and everything. You know, we're going to start doing quarterly meetups and kind of see where the agents are at and where they're going, you know. So we utilize different tools for that.
Okay, cool. Any final thoughts on goal setting or productivity tips for folks out there?
Here we go. Hold on. Sorry, I lost you there for a minute. Yeah, so bear with me. No, I mean, bottom line is this. I mean, write it down, be realistic. You know, a lot of times, you know, we see agents that are producing, you know, 300,000 in gross commissions, and, you know, we want to duplicate what they do. And I think a lot of times that kind of keeps you out of focus, because, like, for example, I know people who aren't good at cold calling. There's people who are good at relationship building. And if you kind of pull yourself out of what you do best, I mean, that can keep you out of track. So I always tell people, if you want to be productive, focus on what's working for you. So what I would say is go back in the last couple of months, 3 months or a year, and see what's brought you the business, you know, and don't reinvent the wheel. Work on that, you know, as you grow your business. And then little by little, you start implementing new systems into it, you know, like, for example, you know, you're going to start doing mail outs or start farming a community, but work on what you do best, you know, and as you start growing your database, obviously start implementing new things. But that's what I tell agents all the time. You know, everybody does business differently. You know, I know guys who invest a lot of time in the office doing videos, you know, and it works. And that's a goal that I'm trying to do as well, because obviously that's where it's going. But I tell people, you know, focus on what works, and look back at your production. Where did you get all your business from? You know, and once you realize and target that particular area, then focus on it and grow it, you know, because that's where you're excelling the most. Mm-hmm. And then little by little, you start implementing new things.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Well, thanks so much, Shane. It was nice having you on. Look forward to catching up with you at one of these events.
No, definitely. Anything, let me know, Chris.
Will do. Take care.
All right, well, take care.
Bye. Thanks, Danny.